Hello, my name is Barbara Hawk, and I'm a member of the Borough of Laurel Springs 2013 Centennial Committee. Today we have the privilege of interviewing George Askew, who will be telling us about his life in Laurel Springs. Thank you for coming, George.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
You were born in Laurel Springs?
No.
Or? Okay.
No, I was born in Philadelphia at the Episcopal Hospital. And we moved to Lindenwold when I was 1 year old. So I've been around a little while.
And when did you move to Laurel Springs?
At some time between 1930 and 1931. I'm not sure of the exact date, but
Okay.
I know it was in between. I had to get into a new class, and it was all where they going, so I know it wasn't the summertime or something like that.
And what were your parents' names?
My parents were Mary Askew, and my father's name was Ernest Askew. And I had a brother also.
Oh, and your brother?
His name was James.
James.
Yeah, that's correct, James.
And what are your earliest memories of Laurel Springs?
Earliest memories. I think just moving into Laurel Spring, I can remember that. And I can remember it easily because of where I moved to. That big building on the end of the street next to the, it's up on a mound like along the railroad.
Along the railroad?
Yeah.
West Atlantic or East Atlantic?
Yeah.
Okay, East Atlantic, right?
Oh, yeah.
East Atlantic Avenue.
Okay. That's where you moved to, and it was, I think it was another family lived in that same, we were in the downstairs part, and they were in the upstairs part. But we lost our home in Lindenwold. That's why we had to move. My father worked for the railroad, and during the Depression, the railroad just shut down, so you don't have any work, period. It's not a matter of being laid off or whatever. And Mr. Wilbert Mick, who was a real estate agent in town, he found us that place to stay for a while. And I've been in three places in Laurel Springs.
Very lucky, yes. Very lucky to have you. Do you remember who the neighbors were and what their names were? When you lived in your first house, do you remember who the neighbors were?
I remember, well, when you look across to where the movie was, there were no houses, a parking lot. So all I have is next door to me, really. And Mr. Andrews, he's an elderly gentleman. He lived there. And next to him were the Morels.
Okay.
And next to Morels was a double house. And on the other side of it, Morrissey's lived there.
Oh, the Marseys, okay.
Morrissey's. And on the corner, that would be, I'll have to stop to think about that one.
Well, that's okay, yeah. What do you remember about going to Laurel Springs School? What grade did you start at Laurel Springs School?
I think it was, well, I was about 7 years old, so what would that put me in? I started when I was 5, so I was probably in 3rd grade or right in that area.
And do you know who your teachers were or anything?
I remember some of them, but I don't remember the
just
first
a couple,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had for 5th grade, Miss Fly. I think that was her name. That's the way it was pronounced anyhow. I don't know how you spell it. And my 7th grade, when I can remember her name was Miss Swigert. And of course, the principal teacher, and she was a teacher too, was I have to stop and think a minute. Mrs. Rogers.
Mrs. Rogers?
Yeah. They called her Pussyfoot.
They called her Pussyfoot?
Yeah. Well, she used to being a principal, and she'd get out and walk around the school and see while we sat there and just did something, and she'd go look in every room, make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing quietly. So that's where she got the name Pussyfoot. No, I didn't give it to her.
Do you know do you remember anybody who was in your class that is still around here, maybe?
Yeah, I got quite a few, if you want to know.
Sure.
All right, let's start here. Jennings Brown.
Jennings Brown.
He lived in the house right along the railroad where they have all the Christmas stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And Edith Reynolds, she lived right across from the school on the Washington Street side. Ruth Dunleavy, she lived on the street that I lived on. Betty Dressler. I forget where she lives, but she was in town.
Yes, she was.
Virginia Myers.
Oh, Ginny Mayer? Oh, okay. No, not the same one? Myers? Oh,
M-Y-E-R-S, I
Okay.
believe it is.
Okay.
Betty Townsend. Roland, R-O-L-A-N-D, I think I found it. And his last name was McAllister. Richard Sowers, S-O-W-E-R-S. And he had a bad time and had to leave because his father had taken his life.
Oh, my goodness.
And let's see, I have more here. Joe Davidson. And Bob Taylor. John Tompkinson.
Oh.
I got a brother and sister too here in my
Okay.
class. Ann and Joe Larzalier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember them either.
Tom Betts was in my class.
Tom Betts?
Yes.
Now, you said he was the one, was it his family that was involved with as a police? That Betts, or is it a
Yes,
different Betts?
that's right. It was
Yes.
his father was a policeman.
His father was a policeman. Tom Betts' father was a policeman. Okay.
And Al Stack,
Oh, Al Stack,
he was
yes.
on my class. He was the smallest kid in the class, and I was the next.
And you were next?
Yeah. Let's see now. John Tompkinson was in my class.
Okay, yeah. Like, what kind of activities did you have in school? Do you remember any special activities that you guys did at that time?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I mean, we were there, and we got home, you know. We didn't have a lot of things going on like they do now in schools.
No,
You know,
they didn't.
You know, you went there to get your lessons, and then you went home.
Like, what kind of games did you play? Did you have any games that you played after school or any
We
special
played,
games?
we had a recess, of course, and then we'd go out and play. We'd take baseball out and toss it around, or a football or something like that. But nothing that was a planned affair.
No.
You were just turned loose for a little bit and then back in again.
Well, how about after school? Did you play any special games after school or anything like that?
Well, we played baseball,
Okay.
and I don't think we played any real games. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything was loose.
Yes. Well, yeah, and you didn't have any organized games at all, right? Yeah. Now, do you remember anything about the business section and what stores were
Yeah,
in our
I
business
do.
section?
Well, you want what's in town now, right?
Okay. Well, yeah. Or what was in town when you were growing
First
up?
of all, we had a pharmacy.
Well, you did have a pharmacy. Oh.
That was right next door to the movie house.
Oh, okay.
Which is in the business there too. And let's see, business section. 'Cause, you know, you went there to get your lessons, and then you went home. That was right next door to the movie house. Which is in the business there too. And let's see, business section. 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 Business section We had 2 barber shops, an American store, and an A&P store. And we had Sam's Market.
Which was wasn't it-
O'Teary, Sam
yes,
O'Teary.
Sam O'Teary,
Mhm.
right.
I got a few more here somewhere.
Okay.
Oh, had the bicycle shop too.
Oh, okay.
And that was, I'm trying to find out who that was running that. I had it on here somewhere. Here it is. Wetherell's.
Oh, Wetherall's?
Mr. Wetherell had a bicycle shop. Yes.
And he lived on Stone Road, Wetherall, I believe.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yeah, he lived
Mhm.
on Stone Road, yes.
Yeah, he lived on Stone Road.
Mhm.
But he in the back of between him and the railroad,
Yes.
had that.
Right. Mm-hmm. And did we have any businesses along the White Horse Pike at that time?
Yeah, we did. We had a Gulf station,
Or the golf station?
which my
was
grandfather run.
your grandfather ran the golf station? And that was at the end of Fairmount, I believe.
Yes, the end of
Yeah.
Fairmount, right
Mhm.
on the pike.
Right.
There was a bar, and that's where the bar is still, and I can't remember the name of the bar at the time.
The bar. Yes. Mm-hmm. No, escapes my memory too, right, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It may even be closed now. I've been by it for a long time. I think it's still open though. Let's see, what else was in town? We had a 5 and 10.
Oh, yes, we did, a 5 and 10, yes. Did you know any of the store owners, or, were any of the store owners in any of your classes, or their children were in any of your classes at school?
I don't think so.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't think so. We had the Zubrin's hardware store too.
Oh, we had a hardware store too.
Zubrin's hardware.
Zubrin's?
Zubrin. Z-U-B-R-I-N.
Oh, okay. Zubrin hardware store. Did you go to any churches
Well,
in
there
our
was one
town?
other
Oh,
thing.
one other thing, what?
That wasn't on the pike either, I'm sorry. Zubrin's was, they were in town.
In town, right,
But
yes.
on the pike, we had a, where they had the, I got it, let's see. We ended up on there with a bowling alley, but
Oh, the
before
ball-
that,
no.
they had a business there where they made matches, the fold matches, you know.
Oh, my goodness.
And before that, they had marathon dances.
Oh, my goodness, yeah, because we used to have, when I was growing up, we used to have a club for dancing on Friday night.
But that's about all I can remember on the pike.
Okay, that's good. Did you go to any of our churches in town?
Yes, I went to the Church of the Atonement.
Oh, you went to Church of
And
the
I still
Atonement?
go to the Church of the Atonement.
Okay.
So I started there at 1 year old.
I think I was about 6 or 7 when I went
And
there.
I'm still
yeah,
not
right.
the oldest one in the church.
Who is, do you know who is now?
I'll tell you in just 1 second.
Okay.
Walker.
Oh, Walker's. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you know the minister that was
Yeah, his name was Father Martin.
Martin?
M-A-R-T-I-N. I
Okay.
never knew his first name. Of course,
Okay.
we all call him Father.
Father Martin, that's right, yeah. And did the church have any activities?
Yeah, they had picnics, and sometimes on Easter they'd have Easter egg hunts, Christmas party, little things they used to give out. All the kids got a little box of hard candy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was nice. And there was a mob of kids too at that time.
Yes.
It was,
Isn't that
it was,
great?
it was
It was a good-
crowded.
was it?
It was
Oh,
a
that-
crowded church, yeah. Yes,
Very
it
good.
was.
How about any of the other church members besides the Walkers?
Yeah, I have a few here I can remember. let's see, there was the Wilsons. They lived on Tomlinson Avenue. And the Walkers. Snyder's lived on my street, which was the second place I lived. That was Walnut Avenue. Pittman's, I forget what street they lived on.
Oh, okay.
Sims.
Oh, Sims, yeah, they've been there, going there for a long time, yeah.
Houchins.
Oh, Houchins, I forgot about them.
And I guess that's about all I can think of.
That's good. Very good. Now, did they have any civic groups, you know, like the Lions Club or anything like? They didn't have the Lions Club then,
No,
but they had.
no, I don't know of any
yeah,
that they had.
No, yeah. How about did you do any volunteer work as you were growing up in Laurel Springs?
It wasn't, I'll tell you, you know, we were during a depression. And if you wanted to go to the movies, as an example, you had to earn the money somewhere, because your parents didn't have it to give to you. Like today, you put the hand out, they put the money in it. That's nice. No, I never did, because as I got older, I started out weeding people's gardens for them.
Oh my goodness.
And then, as I got older, I started mowing lawns. And it was interesting. I bought my lawnmower from Mrs. Zubrin. And I was in there one day getting something, and she says, you mow a lot of lawns, why don't you get your own lawnmower? So I said, I don't have the money to buy a lawnmower. She said, well, it's only $14. That was one of those big, heavy push things, you know. So I said, no, I don't have $14. She says, well, you mow lawns every day, don't you? I said, not every day, but I guess 3 or 4 days a week. And she says, well, why don't you just give me 50 cents a week, and you can have so that's how I want your lawnmower.
For 50 cents a week.
50
my
cents
gosh.
a week.
Oh.
Try it today.
Yes, right.
I don't, what else? Let's see. I'm trying to think what else I got involved in. Mostly fishing and hunting.
Oh, okay.
That was one of my, and of course, I learned to swim in Laurel Lake. I got thrown out of a canoe and it said, swim in. That's how I learned to swim. Did a lot of ice skating on the lake.
Yeah, then you could. There was, you know, because the winters were so more severe than they are now, you know, as far as ice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My kids swam. Yeah, my kids. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's good.
See, I lived across the street from Stafford's. Stafford lived on Laurel Road, and I lived on Walnut Avenue, which was their backyard. And he used to keep his young calves in the backyard, you might say, right? So I'd see him out on the street once in a while, and I'd put them back in, and that's how I got to know Mr. Stafford, because he saw me putting it in one day, and he come over to talk to me, and he said, do you do that often? I said, once in a while. Yeah, they get out, I don't get hit by a car or something. They're only little things. So he said, do you hunt? I said, I'm going to hunt this year for the first time in my life. He said, well, you can hunt on my property all you want.
So this was Stafford Farm, which was, of course, on
Yes,
Laurel
but
Road.
just you.
Oh, just you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was a big farm, 600 acres.
Oh.
So that was nice to have 600 acres. And that's
Yes.
where I found my first Indian arrowhead.
Oh, yes. So that's where you found it, at
That's
the
where I
Stafford Farm,
found
your
it.
first
Yes.
Indian artifact.
Well, the first one I ever found, and that was accidental. I went in to hunt one day, and I heard his tractor running, so I go up and talked to him. So I went up there, and I'm standing there next to his tractor, and I'm looking at the ground. They said, a funny-looking a funny-looking stone down there. He says, pick it up. So I picked it up, and he looked at it. He said, well, that's an Indian arrowhead. And I've been bit. After that, I was looking for them forever. And I had a pretty nice small collection at one time. And then I went into service, and when I come home, they were gone. My mother said I outgrown them, so she tossed them in the trash.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought I was going to kill her, but I didn't.
No. Now, did you find any in Laurel Springs? Any Indian artifacts at
No,
all?
I never found one.
Okay.
I have some that a lot of people have found in Laurel Springs, though.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So they just give them to me and say, here, you collect them, you can have them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I won't accept one unless I know where it comes from. Because it has no value that way.
Right, right.
Like not knowing where somebody comes from. He's not important to you until you know where a man comes from.
It's a good way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good way to look at it, yes. So the main farmer that you remember is Safford Farms, Mr.
Yeah.
Safford, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the closest farm near us.
That was what?
The closest farm in this
Was
area.
right across the street.
Yeah, right. And then in Laurel
In fact,
Springs, how about anybody in Laurel
I
Springs?
think that was the only farm in the area right there. It was all the way out Lark Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking Laurel Road, I don't remember any there. Although I used to walk all over the Hidden Lake, but I don't remember any farms.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you're out of Laurel Springs.
Yes.
It don't
Right.
take long to walk out of Laurel Springs.
No.
But that's the only one I remember. But almost everybody had a garden,
Yes.
which they don't today. You know, I'm talking about foods now,
Yes.
right? Big difference.
So your biggest memory of Laurel Lake is being thrown out of the canoe and learning to swim?
That
About anything else?
That and the nice fish we used to get there, and the enjoyment of skating every winter. Of course, the kids all went out there and cleaned the lake off. Today they wouldn't do that.
No.
If you cleaned it well for them, that'd be nice, but they would never get out and clean it off. Yeah, it was fun. Fun to grow up like that.
Yes.
I think I had the nicest life I could have asked for in Laurel Springs.
Right.
I really enjoyed living there. Everything seemed to be where I wanted it to be
Right. Mm-hmm.
at the time you wanted it, you know? And that's nice when you can have that.
Yes. It's a good memory.
Yeah.
Very good memory, yes. Mm-hmm. How about, do you remember any of the hotels on Lakeview Avenue?
No, I remember seeing just some of what was left of them when they were deteriorating, I guess.
Right.
The one I remember, and I can't remember the name of that, but they turned it into a hotel. Well, it was a hotel, but I think it was a summer affair. But they fixed it up so people could live in it all year round, and then
Right.
it got caught fire and burned down. And that's the only one I remember. But I never was in it. Never really got close enough to look at it. I was too busy fishing.
Which is not bad.
No, at least I wasn't doing in trouble, right? Kids have a habit of doing that.
And then, can you give us any names of any World War II people that are still around that we could talk to, or you could give us some information on?
Yeah, I got a lot of them if you'd like to hear them.
Sure.
Well, Herb Snyder. Now, Herb Snyder lived on this Walnut Avenue, 2 doors up from me. And there was the Zelly family. They lived on Park Avenue. Warren Schaefer. Warren Schaefer, we lost him during World War II. He
Yes,
was
we
a
did.
real nice kid. He was a very good friend of my brother. And let's see. The Martins lived on Walnut Avenue. David Martin. The Mick families. There's 2 of them.
Right.
Jacob Mick family and Wilbert Mick family. The Alexanders. The Dunns, they had 50 kids, I think. And let's see, the Wilsons, the Nelsons, and the Larsons. There were 2 Larson families. One was on the Walnut Avenue, and the other was on
Mount Vernon?
right next to Morrissey's house.
Mount Vernon? Oh, Tomlinson? No, Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon
Yeah,
or
Mount
Washington?
Vernon.
Mount Vernon,
Right on
yes.
Mount Vernon.
Yeah,
That's the
Lenore.
one I couldn't remember.
Yes, Lenore Larson still
Yeah.
lives on Mount Vernon. Yes, she does.
The
Yeah.
Stacks, I worked in the Stack greenhouses when I was
Oh, you worked in that?
a teenager, and that was nice. I used to get along. We were buddies together, and it was nice working for him. Knew the family. I guess there's a few more here. McPherson's lived next door to me. McPherson's. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think it's an MC.
Okay.
And the Nielsen's. Mr. Nielsen lived on Walnut Avenue down on at the last corner on the street. Bryson's. The Staffords. Denby's.
Oh, Denby's. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Denby used to have a store.
Yes, they did, yeah. Uh-huh.
The Walkers. I did say the Dunns, I think.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did. Okay. Pittman's.
Pittman's, okay.
Two Meyer families. The Regals. Regals lived behind us.
Okay.
They had 3 or 4 kids, I think, and they were my playmates. We used to play marbles all the time.
Oh, that was a game you played. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Regal had a fruit and vegetable stand
Oh.
on Laurel Road. And early in the spring, he would be in his truck going down south and hauling up here from the south. I had watermelons and cantaloupes, so I was in the whole bit, right? One of the nice things was if the cantaloupe was getting a little bit soft, he'd give it to you. So I ate a lot of cantaloupes. I never cared for watermelon.
Oh.
Cantaloupes
That
I
was
do
good.
like. Yeah, I like them. But that was nice. I worked I was a Liberty boy too.
A Liberty boy?
A Liberty boy. Liberty magazine,
Oh, okay.
and they had a whole bunch of other ones that were printed by the same company, and I would have to deliver them once a week, I think it was, once a week or once a month. I'm not sure of
Okay.
that one. But that was a lot of walking. I used to know an awful lot of people in town because of that, right?
Yes, right, from going door to door.
They didn't
That's
send that
wonderful.
kind of thing through the mail in those days. They had somebody to do it. And I would get coupons for the amount that I was collecting.
Oh.
And with those coupons, I could buy something with it. I bought a camera, and I bought a ukulele, and I learned to play that by myself.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. You can play the ukulele? That's
I
great.
don't know what happened to it. I think my mother threw it out during the war. My mother was great at throwing things out. Most mothers are, I think.
Yes, yes,
Get
we
rid of
are.
the junk,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to move it every day.
Right.
Let's see. I think that's all I got from them. But
That
it
was
took-
a wonderful way to get, to make money and then be able to get something. You know,
yeah,
by a coupon, yes.
yeah. I've always. I never went in a group of people. I've always been an independent person. If you don't believe me, ask my wife. Even now with my injury, I'm still and that type of person. I'm used to doing things, and I don't know. you just get that way.
Right.
Somebody said I can't do this, I'll do it for you, and then you do it, and you don't even ask for anything in exchange for it.
And your wife, Edna, and you have been married how many years?
60 and a half.
Oh, 60 and a half? And how many children do you have?
2.
2.
One George Jr.
Okay.
and my daughter's name is Sandra.
Sandra. And do any of them live around here?
I beg pardon?
Do they live around here?
No, my son is in South Carolina.
Okay.
He's a vice president, something at Clemson University,
Oh, very nice.
which is nice. And my daughter works for one of the Rite Aid, and she's an expert on drugs. That's all she does is audit drugs.
Oh.
So she knows what they're used for, every one of them, the size and everything. And then she don't have to go to a book. She knows them all, every one of them.
And where does your Sandra live? Where
She
does
lives.
Sandra
She lives down in Williamstown.
Williamstown. Okay. So do you have anything else you'd like to add? I think it was a very good, I learned a lot about what you did.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yes.
It was nice talking to you.
Yes.
Now you know I'm an old man, right?
Oh, but you have, and this is, where is that artifact from that you have on your
This
neck?
artifact is from Pine Hill,
Pine Hill, okay.
and that dates back to about 3500 BC.
Oh, my goodness. And where did you get that from?
John Fisher found it.
Oh, okay.
And when he died, his wife gave me a lot of his things that he had. She was going to throw them out in the trash.
Right.
And I ran into her in a hardware store, or a store anyhow, and she was talking to me about them, and I said, well, what are you going to do with them? She said, oh, well, I'm just throwing them out. I said, don't throw that out. That's history.
Yes, right. Mm-hmm. We all have a habit, yeah, right.
No, you don't throw things like that away. But right now I have close to 2,500 arrowheads alone, and a bunch of stone axe heads and stone knives, and you name it, right? All kinds of stuff. And I started doing that when I was 12 years old, when I found that one out in the field with the farmer sitting on the tractor.
You went on from there.
All of them are from New Jersey.
Okay.
They're New Jersey.
So they're from southern New Jersey. Good.
I have one from Illinois that somebody gave me who was doing work out there, and he found 3 of them at the same time, and he gave me one because he knew I was collecting. So that's nice. That's the Miami tribe there.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
See, that the interesting part of having things like this is you research them,
Right.
and it's amazing what you find.
Yes.
You get to really know the people.
Right. Which is a wonderful thing. Yes.
You know
It's
them through
wonderful.
stone, right?
Yes, but it's really cool. It's a very,
Yeah.
very wonderful thing to do, yes.
You know, I often look at some of these things and think, how would you ever resist just having this, you know? You're dead before you're born, almost.
Well, thank you ever so much.
Oh,
Yes.
I've enjoyed
It's
it.
been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys,